So I'm just going to read from a text I've written because, well, if I'm just going to speak it, I might go a little off topic or I might say a little more than I want to say. So I will just read out. It might sound monotonic, um, not a little lackluster, but I am conveying a message to millions. Um, and hopefully you're going to listen from a perspective that you haven't heard before. But this is better said now than not, because there are some fine points here that is better considered about what I'm doing, who I am, what I do, and why is the work that I'm doing important at this point in time, and not just now, but here on. Yeah, because how we look at our economy, ecology, and what's happening in the world out there, the world right now, world out there. People are even searching about space and different phenomenon, and I'll just read out the text. Now, Andromeda is said to be on its way, merging with Milky Way. I hit nothing, met my life partner, and am on my way optimizing Shrishti through a constant Shivaratri with my complementary life partner, whom I've been saying is like a species from a different universe than mine. I'm female, and he male, and Earth is a planet where two species have been in different stages of figuring out how to keep it together without diseases, economic challenges, or longevity concerns, also known as wisdom. Cosmos has had to stage a phenomenology, Andromeda in different stages of merging with Milky Way, to have these two species have a civil lifestyle that constantly launches satellites, tiny humans, into their orbit around the sun. So life sustainably, wholesomizingly flourishes without big bang of micro or macrocosm. Actually, the microcosm keeps the macrocosm together. That's why children of life, all of us humans, are born in figuring out how to sustainably keep it together. It's space science, what I'm talking about. It's space science, within which is the rocket science of launching satellites into orbit. Little humans, we all form our civilization with little babies, our whole economy, with a person being the smallest unit of a society, a family being the second smallest, and all our economic concerns are human concerns, not that of dogs or cats or plants or microbes, human concerns. And we make babies, yeah, and run around the whole circus of life in attempting to have children sustainably grow up such that they can take care of at least a family, yeah. So, the microcosm is expected to grow up, or at least we are in different stages of the village taking care of the baby, while the baby needs to grow up in such a way that the baby takes care of the village. Now, for that to happen, I call it space science. The space of normal, ordinary, harmonious living, which is more complex than rocket science, because it takes something to maintain normal, ordinary, harmonious living where we are having sufficient expertise in survival to the point that people even seek liberation from the challenges in, let's say, sukha dukkha, space of good and bad, so without having diseases, economic challenges, or longevity concerns. WHO's list of diseases is talking about how much we don't know about maintaining that space of normal, ordinary, harmonious living. Now, having said that, it's space science within which is the rocket science of launching satellites into orbit sustainably. Technology developed meanwhile, since when life first showed up on the planet, stirred to life. And then humans evolved with a spine, yeah, that can keep the head right on top, with feet on the ground, without flying off like a rocket. Technology developed, meanwhile, um, technology developed meanwhile helps us learn what all it takes to sustain the spaceship of normal ordinary harmonious living, which means there is an Instagram post that contemplated on, now we have, say, humans also gone to moon, yeah, say around the 1900s. And if this attempt to go to the moon began, say, in the 1800s, whether or not we would have been successful at it, our technology, our thinking processes would have already begun then. And there is no saying what we will be doing now. Yeah? Similarly, consider what I'm speaking about as space science. When we are doing things consistent with what I'm calling as the science of normal, ordinary, harmonious living, well, let's just say there is rocket science, yeah, with different stages of the technology and how to launch rockets, attempting to also reach Mars. And what I'm talking about as space science, within which is the rocket science of launching satellites into orbit, we're already working on the technology of what it takes to have children be sustainably born, which means there are several technologies that has formed meanwhile, which need not go waste. But we have so much learnings about, for example, how to sustainably grow a human being who are at different stages of becoming a humane being. For example, several engines, we support a baby, and over time, for them to be able to standing upright without the support of engines. Otherwise, Kali Yuga remains, where dependency, codependency, don't know how to have a mind and body of their own. Otherwise, if there is no support system, they go really jittery, yeah, and not stable. And then families dependent on babies and people become a little shaky, yeah, and sustainable organization forming. All that goes into a little, yeah. And then we don't have a sustainable civilization where we have people, we have individuals. Instead, we have a lot of dependents, yeah, who don't know how to take care of all that there is. So, I call that no technology. But for that, technology needed to be contemplated upon. So all the rocket science, they're not going to waste. But instead, we are developing, what I'm talking about is the no technology on what it takes to enliven life in the multiverse, which means Mars and Venus, for example, is said to have shown signs of life earlier. And then somehow that's not so much seen as a case, which means Earth used to have a certain physiology by which that was possible. And then, for example, there was a volcano. And then, let's see, ashes of love, which made the air more thick, more particulate, and global, gas chamber. Let's just say gas chamber also. There was the, say, for example, the nuclear bomb, yeah. There was also the concentration camps and many Bhopal gas. And so there have been many contaminants that also made the air a little thick, particulate, which then affected our ability to breathe healthy naturally. The 2 years of the pandemic also is kind of proof for how much of a difficulty we've had in maintaining our ability to breathe healthy naturally, which also gave rise to different kinds of diseases. Yeah, for example, tiny little virus again made common sense go a little down, brain fog, and then social distancing and our ability to connect humanity across boundaries. The Russia-Ukraine talking about, we have come from so many warring communities to now looking at what does it take for us to not be warring communities. And then further, how not to have diseases, yeah? So I'm talking at a time when something better than that is possible, that I'm calling as no technology. And to consider what technology is, we needed to develop technology in different stages. including the rocket science. Yeah, but we can have something better than that. And what role am I playing in us having better than that? For example, Andromeda is talking about the male, the name itself is talking about male ability, the we've been talking in terms of Mother Earth, yeah, or Mother Life. Father has not been so much in um, prominence. We are not talking about Father Life, Father Earth, for example. Andromeda is talking about now it's time for a more male presence, yeah, so that we are having equity and equality and all that. So we have 11, like train moving on pallet tracks. Now, for that to happen, what role have I been playing is um, Andromeda is also talking about a princess, mythologically, who was saved by Perseus. Um, and he killed Medusa. Yeah? And what am I doing is, I've been healing the fabric of time and space since at least the pandemic. I can talk about the how to of it, which is forming a form of yoga that I call movementless yoga, or which historically, mythologically, has been called Samudra Manthan. The science of it, the technology of it may not have been able to be possibly thought about because maybe there was not a benefit seen to studying that because we've been dealing with other challenges, for example, economic challenges, our own little small and big concerns. And like I've been saying, the fabric of time and space has been healing since some time, to the point that my kind of a person was born and then thinking about the things that I'm thinking about, which nobody else may have had an occasion to think about, or the need for it, or, well, this is what I do. So my kind of a birth has happened, became possible as a movement from the great soul. I will read about it further, yeah? So I was saying, technology developed meanwhile during all of this pandemic, the internet development, computers, money, agricultural concerns, etc., including the development of a rocket, attempting to go to the moon. Technology developed meanwhile helps us learn what all it takes to sustain the spaceship of normal, ordinary, harmonious living. Original Humane Intelligence Facilitation by Meristem Intelligence. I'm the sole proprietor of it. Okay. Original Humane Intelligence Facilitation by Meristem Intelligence. No technology. Spaceship. Suite of solutions. Original Humane Intelligence Facilitation developed by Meristem Intelligence. It's a no technology spaceship suite of solutions. Mighty advantages from yoga of human body with a difference. Further, who am I? I'm from Almighty Inc.'s integration team. The fabric of time-space has been healing since some time. Bert Hellinger's systemic constellation science here calls it the movement of the great soul. I've been saying I'm not alone, none of us are. We are employed at birth in Almighty Inc., which is like a great company or incorporation that employs people and according to performance gives incentives, salaries, promotions in accordance with performance consistent with the vision and mission of the enterprise. Every person has a reason for being in existence and are part of one or the other department. And then there are special forces such as integration team, defense team, and other teams whose function is to fast track or do the work of a catalyst in speeding up an already good process that is beneficial for humanity and humans as a preferred species who has capabilities to take care of all that there is, from just having a body that is human. As stated, I am from the Special Forces Integration Team, and my training has been on fast track mode, so I can make available benefits from my lifelong trainings and developments over several lifetimes in fast tracking humanity across boundaries. I happened to do my job well with research and development over the course of my training and development that I formed an enterprise named Meristem Intelligence that answers the searching quote of Captain Kirk in the Star Trek series, Star Trek teleseries, where it speaks about being in search of new civilizations while each. Okay, let me just read out that quote. Maybe that's going to help. Yeah? 1 minute. Captain Kirk's quote from the Star Trek teleseries goes like this: Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. Now, what's the searching quote in it is? 1 minute. Okay. The searching quote is, it speaks about being in search of new civilizations, while each of us are civilians in a civilization of humans of many kinds, who have formed over several evolutionary cycles across mankind's phenomenal and eventful evolutionary history to the present times when artificial intelligence is in different stages of arriving at artificial general intelligence. And for that, internet had to form. And before that, computers had to be discovered. And before that, money had to be discovered, had to be part of our civilization, our economic transactions. And before that, agriculture had to be arrived at, and so on. Consider my 4 brand values to be like a new wave of systematic improvement of the system that is Almighty.inc, where Almighty refers to the schemata of mights, M-I-G-H-T-S, what we can, yeah, or abilities, that is the human lot. And all our wishes and dreams are from the human lot, but also follows the ray of creation, nth way. Now I'll put a link to the YouTube video that I've made about ray of creation, nth way, which is a part of my development or reconstruction of I Ching. That's a constructional form of Shishu's gem, alluded to in the movie Raya and the Last Dragon, that somehow went out of focus in the World Wide Web's scheme of things. The glue-on may have gotten a bit less elastic, with humans not knowing how to keep the particle-antiparticle, 36 elemental particles, in fundamental integration, where fun, being one of the basics, has been somehow forgotten to be innocently had. And so we have fundamental particles with the fun a little not so very innocently fun. That Hatha Yoga has been attempting to bring together in restoring genuine smile and healing the heart that got broken during the Big Bang, where every death is a sort of Big Bang we are yet to see in perspective as a disease on WHO's list of diseases. A disease itself is from several lakhs of perspective. You see, we have diseases, but we don't know why they are there, or what it takes to heal them in such a way that the disease doesn't come back, yeah, or doesn't show up in another way, which is also called side effects or collateral side effects, yeah, where we need to really heal, you're completely cured. So disease is several lack of perspective, and we don't really know what these perspectives are, which I'm talking about, which I'm making available through my suite of solutions. Now, we'll talk more about that in videos to follow. I'm a chip of the old block and grew up from speck of dust to the size I am today, and en route caused several, believe it or not, discoveries to come about, such as the Higgs boson, a particle that changes at will between particle and antiparticle. I read a news about it, that a particle has been discovered that can change at will between particle and antiparticle. Several Nobel Prizes for people from different fields of inquiries with different levels of clarity, lab grown diamonds as an economical improvement substance, sandalwood, gold, and other developments that are both material and ecological, such as several environmental projects towards improving the quality of earth, water, fire as spirit space by different people in accordance with the substance of their body compositional make, as I healed myself as a fabric of time space, which I'm calling as movementless yoga or Samudra Manthan, where the mythological reference to it talks about, for example, different kinds of the Navaratna, for example, alludes to what becomes possible when Samudra Manthan is happening the way it needs to, one of the outcomes from Samudra Manthan. And there is so much more that is possible, but ancient people represented this idea through a concept called the Samudra Manthan, with the benefits that is talking about. But it also has Mohini, for example, which is a form of make-believe, by which the Sur or the Yasul, one was preferred more, and then Rahu, Ketu lost their head. And so that story can be bettered, and what I've been doing is improving that story. Yeah. So what I'm doing is, Andromeda is talking about Medusa, Perseus killing Medusa, and I'm saying nobody's got to die, because my method of healing the fabric of time-space follows a certain quote: "Lathi na toote, samp na mare, awaaz na nikle, ahat bhi na ho," which means the stick doesn't break, yeah, which is more like the spine, or you could say the jaw. It's more like the axis of being and becoming. Doesn't break, yeah. Samp na mare, which means no kundalini has to die, yeah. No snakes. It's like being on the highway with no snakes having to die, yeah. Awaaz tina nikle, because we have lots of chants and many kinds of sounds we make, many kinds of languages, but we continue to have communication challenges, yeah. But what I'm also saying is, the jaw doesn't break, the axis doesn't break, the snake doesn't die, which means Medusa doesn't die, yeah. No sounds, which is, for example, when there are no hurt, there is no sounds, yeah. Or the sounds that is already there when the concerns are addressed. For example, Rose in the movie Titanic was said to be silent, but she was said to be screaming in a silence. So that concerns, which is also talking about inflammation of many kind, for example. So awaaz na nikle, yeah. So none of those hurt. Ahat bhi na ho, where there is not movement. Talking about, something is not working, so you make another movement because something is not addressed. So life makes another movement in search of a solution for it. So when the solution is found, life doesn't have to find another way. Life always finds a way. So when the solution is already found, life doesn't have to make another movement, another attempt, yeah? Because this is the way, the highway where no snakes are dying, yeah? So that's the idea. So that's what I'm making available. It's kind of, I have a basics called absolute: no buy, reduce, reuse, no cycle, no waste, absolute. This is the method by which I've been healing. I facilitate clinical health, on-table therapy work, movementless yoga, what I'm calling as Samudra Manthan, my version of Samudra Manthan, where that idea of Samudra Manthan needs a little further improvement, because so nobody's cheating and nobody's losing their head, yeah, that way, yeah. So better Samudra Manthan. which heals the fabric of time and space. So nobody's dying. Perseus is not killing Medusa. No, yeah, yeah. So it's a better integration. So while Andromeda is in different stages of merging with Milky Way, my method, like I'm saying, I'm from the integration team. So I had some experience with attempting to integrate Accuses with that's a company I've been employed in. Um, I was an employee and now I have my own enterprise. But that part of that team went to Philippines to integrate um, a company there with Accuses processes. So I've been part of an integration team, and then I discovered that also that I'm from the integration team. More, I didn't quite know what is it. I just know that we're bringing together humanity across boundaries, and now I see Andromeda in different stages of merging with Milky Way, and I'm integrating in such a way that nobody has to die. Yeah, there is more humanity across boundaries. So people have been talking about the Nagas, yeah, which is also like the Meru, or um, the idea of Nagas has been in mysterious characters, and so this is a finer, better version, yeah, by which the fabric of time space heals and comes wholesomizingly together. So what I'm doing has never been done before. No man has gone before. I'm a woman, yeah. Um, so this is the whole story of life beginning all over again, yeah. And so several challenges that's been in there in many levels. Finding a finer, beautifuler way. Is or Isis and Osiris, they've been having a little challenge, kind of, like the divine masculine, divine feminine, having a little challenge keeping it together, which is represented by the mask, yeah. Um, Loki, their son, has been kind of said to be a little mischievous, but in different ways trying to bring mother and father together, yeah. So I've been saying poltergeist, conspiracy theory. The conspiracy has also been to bring the mother and father together, yeah? To keep the male and female dynasties functioning together in harmony. So the integration has been happening since some time. Yeah, the fabric of time and space has been healing since some time. So I'm from the integration team, fast tracking humanity across boundaries. So the sooner you contact me, the faster, easier it becomes for you to have the yoga from just having a body that's human in such a way that you're doing Samudra Manthan, where you and your world, your universe, has life, what it takes. Now I'll speak more about it now. So I was saying, so these are some of the things that have shown up since when I've been doing work in healing the fabric of time space. For example, at least since the pandemic. So I've been talking about it in different social media. I'll read it out again. I'm a chip of the old block and grew up from a speck of a dust to the size I am today. More like scalar boson, scalar Higgs boson, it said, but my idea of thinking about the matter, there's the Higgs boson, like higgledy piggledy. So it's just a conceptual derivation. If there's a Higgs boson, there must be a Higgs boson, because if Higgs boson improves the mass without charge, Higgs boson must reduce the mass without charge. Otherwise, it all just big inflation is all happening, kind of, all heavy, but it's not getting light. There needs to be a balance to keep the balance. So Higgs boson, it's more like the yin and the yang, kind of. And then there needs to be a clear, like the Hugo boson, yeah, where there's kind of keeping a balance between the mass, charge, particle, and something that brings a balance between the two. So there's like a gluon. Otherwise, you're kind of stretched between one side versus the other, one being positive being more important than the negative, and then you have an imbalance, like a lopsided bum. The dance that is life, we have 2 feet. Otherwise, we would be dancing with just like 2 left feet. Doesn't make sense. So in my conceptualization of the matter, I have a Higgs boson, Higgs boson, and a Hugo boson, and they're all scalar, which means there are many levels, types. Like we have the 36 particles, particle, antiparticle, force carriers, graviton, antigraviton. Yeah, we're at least standing up against gravity, so we must see some form of an anti-graviton. I don't know, but just thinking, we must also have a graviton to maintain the gravitas of being in existence. Otherwise, we'll just fly off. Yeah, we'll be a little too heavy or too light. Yeah, Garima, Laguma, and all of these been talking about. But what does it take to be a humane being while we have these complementary opposites? And to be a humane being who maintains peace. Otherwise, we are going into goditude or goddessitude, or demonitude or demonicitude. Yeah, and that's again maintaining the heaven and hell and the particle antiparticle or force carriers, and we have the economic health challenges and wisdom challenges, and we're not quite growing up. We have such a big universe where only Earth is said to have what it takes to have life, and while we are still looking for signs of life elsewhere in the universe, multiverse. So what I'm doing is I'm enlivening life in the multiverse. Yeah, mythology has been talking about it, but the how to of it may not have had an occasion to be thought about. Yeah, so I'm talking about space science, which is more complex than rocket science. The space science of having normal, ordinary, harmonious living. Otherwise, we're being a little too extraordinary and doing a little more than we need to. Perspective, contemplation. Yeah, food for contemplation. Now, further, I have something more to say. I was saying I'm a chip of old block and grew up from a speck of dust to the size I am today. En route, caused several, believe it or not, discoveries to come about, such as the Higgs boson, a particle that changes at will between particle and antiparticle, several Nobel Prizes for people from different fields of inquiries with different levels of clarity, lab-grown diamonds as an economical improvement substance, sandalwood, another substance, gold, and other developments that are both material and ecological, such as several environmental projects towards improving the quality of earth, water, fire, air, spirit, space by different people in accordance with the substance of their body compositional make, as I healed myself as a fabric of time space. Which means some people think they are more spiritual, some people they are more fury, fire based, some people think they're more water based or more air based, like they are a force of nature, but they are of a particular kind. Superheroes, for example, Thor is said to be more earth based, yeah? So different people associate with different material more than with other. While our body is made up of, well, all of these building blocks. And some people are working on one element versus the other. And then we have more vata, pitta, kapha. Some people are more vata based, more pitta based, or kapha based, while Shrishti optimization requires us to maintain a fine balance between all of this. Yeah, otherwise we'd have different kinds of diseases in accordance with what is a little more than needs to be. Yeah. Now, like I said, carbon footprint is also from how long a person has been alive as a soul and now have a body that is human, by which all that there is can be made better. I'm talking about incarnations, but different lifetimes also. So how old is your soul versus your biological body versus your spiritual body versus your intellectual body, your emotional body, how wise you are, for example, emotionally versus intellectually versus spiritually versus conscience versus biologically. So there are many other ways by which to kind of look at it. So I also include the soul. So I don't know, we may be in different stages of recognizing what the soul means, yeah? Spirit means, self means. I'm thinking these are all different particle vehicle forms which we may not have arrived at a standard model of reality, so to speak, that includes these. And I have I have a certain form of it that I call is a kind of structural construct of what I call the I Ching, which may not have had to be thought about, like I've mentioned earlier, as Shishu's gem, yeah, mentioned in the movie Raya and the Last Dragon. Now, um, I happen to be from the integration team and fast-tracked meristem intelligence as a tree of life, tree of light, tree of sounds, tree of souls, spirit tree, alluded to in the teleseries Rings of Power, excuse me, which features a, excuse me, okay, which features a human being emerging from a fetal position early on in the teleseries, and am in different stages as an enterprise in creating more human beings, or tree of light, reference again to the Rings of Power. So we have pillars of earth who can inspire little, middle sized, and senior people with a human body to become similarly humane beings. So all plants, animals, microbes of ray of creation nth way, as alluded to the ray of creation nth way, have a phasis of life by fractals of cycles of life. So evolution resumes on highway. My way, the way I'm saying is the highway. So Latina tute, samna mare, avaz na nikle, ahad bina ho. So in such a way that the the integration, the integration of Andromeda with Milky Way is seamless. You know, so the male and female dynasties are functioning in such a way that whole becomes wholesomer, yeah, sustainably wholer. So happily ever after becomes possible when you are living life by my suite of solutions. 4 brand values. There is on-table healing work. Otherwise, we continue to have WHO's list of diseases. Disease is not really getting cured. So how to do that? There's one, movementless yoga that I'm calling as Samudra Manthan. So we are doing this yoga during our normal everyday moments of living without diseases, economic challenges, or wisdom concerns. Yeah, what does it take to be human in such a way that we are becoming humane beings? What yoga does that have? Does it take? Calling us movementless yoga. Or healthy and natural breathing, such as a tree would that converts carbon dioxide or sukha dukkha into life and living substance, for example, oxygen, or different life and living substance, such that life is becoming healthy, wealthy, wise. Another one is course correction counseling, alluded to as renormalization or eigen states. Okay, I'll talk about it, write about it in a paper, different articles. It becomes clearer what I'm talking about. Community harmonizing activities, which is another way of saying fast tracking humanity across boundaries. Humanity across boundaries. So 4 brand values, and the how-to of it forms. It's like 4 pillars. Lalbagh Gardens, for example, is said to have 4 pillars, sentinel pillars, by which the space of the garden is maintained. Was intended to be at the outermost skirts of Bengaluru, and then Bengaluru then evolved, or rather formed beyond those pillars. But there is still those representational 4 pillars. A room at least has 4 walls or 4 pillars, by which walls and then the space of a room can be made with a roof and a floor. But it at least has 4. Yeah. So my space, Meristem Intelligence Space, at least has 4 brand values, and they're a fine weave in such a way that they're woven in such a way it's kind of like the Kaaba of Makkah. So there people have been contemplating about space in some time, but not quite really gotten what it takes to have that space, such that we are kind of mining the asteroid. We are at least stardust, but we don't know how to tap into our own potential in such a way that we are in living life, like a galaxy, yeah, such that we are having star babies, yeah, and not antisocial elements, so to speak, which is then kind of diseases, economic challenges, and longevity challenges. Yeah, what does it take for us to have star babies? Yeah, like a galaxy. Andromeda, Milky Way, like male, female. It's like the Shivaratri, Shrishti optimization. So I discovered my complementary partner from my body, and how of it I'll keep making videos so there is more clarity on what I'm talking about. So I'm like a template of what becomes possible when we live life in accordance with what I'm calling as meristem intelligence, where the microcosm and the macrocosm is, or the Antaranga and Bahiranga, by Ishvara Pranidhana, Ishvara Pranidhana, Ishvara Pranidhana, Ishvara Pranidhana, like health, wealth, wisdom. Ishvara Pranidhana is more like time, space. Ishvara Pranidhana is more like the gives. People give something, either blessings or curses. But how do we then, so according to the gives could be our sukha, dukha, the good space or bad space. And how to live in such a way while there are different kinds of gives. How to sustainably live life. Yeah? And then Ishvara Pranidhana is more like the wealth of life that we are born into. Each of us is born into a set of people, family, circumstances, different haves, have-nots. So that's the wealth of life that God gave us. And then each of us is born in a particular department according to, well, where we are born, what the circumstances we are born into, what we have, and then how to have a sustainable life given that we are all born in different circumstances. How to sustainably be a Shri Yantra, you know, and have Shri Chakra, such that we are doing good Samaj Manthan, having our beautiful circles, yeah, alive, our different systems are functioning well by keeping the male and female dynasty together within our own body composition is the male and female aspects, also called the Ida Pingala and Sushamna, for example. So how to keep the creation, preservation, creation, maintenance, destruction in fine balance such that no Big Bang is happening, yeah? Microcosm, macrocosm, all in that sense, microcosm as a baby taking care of the village and the village taking care of the baby. Yeah, fine. Humanity across boundaries. Okay, now, what was I saying? 1 minute. I'm just coming to it. Okay, we will have to. Okay, we will come again. I am from the integration team. I happen to be from the integration team and fast track meristem intelligence as a tree of life, tree of light, tree of sounds, tree of souls, spirit tree, alluded to in the teleseries Rings of Power, which features a human being emerging from a fetal position early on in the teleseries, and am in different stages as an enterprise in creating more human beings or trees of light, reference Rings of Power. So we have pillars of earth who can inspire little, middle-sized and senior people with a human body to become similarly humane beings. So all plants, animals, microbes of Ray of Creation nth way have a phases of life by fractals of cycles of life. So evolution resumes on highway, my way, as a representation of which way is right way, as like a template, like a representation. Be the change you want to see in the world. So I happen to be living life by these precepts, and I happen to be leading by example. So I become like a namuna, yeah, like a template or kind of like an example for what, how to live life my way. That I'm then having a suite of solutions for brand values from living life this way since some time, such that I'm an example of what I'm talking about. So you be the example of the change you like to see, you know, walk the talk the walk. So I've been doing it, such that now I'm a namuna. Yeah? So you can kind of measure your life by my life, and then you'll be able to see how much, where you are and what needs to be done. So you have a point of reference by being sustainable health, wealth, and wisdom, and what all it takes. Meanwhile, we have Andromeda in different stages of merging with Milky Way. So I am a namuna. Yeah. Now, so I'm saying my way as a representation of which is the right way, as a representation of which is the right way for ecologically sustainable health, wealth, and wisdom through course corrections that science people have described as renormalization through eigenstates. You can look it up on Wikipedia. These are specific words and a whole bunch of words, including but not limited to asymptotic and other related names with traceable improvements in space course corrections with Euler's method, EULER, Euler's method, and other remarkable discoveries by scientists, including but not limited to Mr. Semmelweis, I think it's Dr. Semmelweis, Sri Ramana Maharshi, because he was a doctor, is Sri Ramana Maharshi, Dr. J. Buchanan, Dr. Sigmund Freud, Dr. G.I. Gurdjieff, Dr. William Garner Sutherland, Mahatma Gandhiji, Sir Nelson Mandela, Sir Martin Luther King Jr., Muhammad of Quranic Association, people associated with Guru Granth Sahib, Bible, Vedic texts, Sri Adi Shankaracharya, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. I will keep adding to the list as the list is long. Now, I may have not pronounced each of these names as appropriately as some would like me to have. It's just that I'm in awe of how much of work they've been doing, and I'm in different stages of getting my pronunciations right. But some things need to be better said than not, so that we are seeing information as dots, which then need to be connected. So you're seeing the picture, the big picture, in better appreciation, while we are all in different stages of development. So maybe we'll have better tolerance, knowing that different people are in different stages of development. So my pronunciation may not be as appropriate, but I'm also growing up, yeah? So I'd appreciate your kind consideration of the fact that I'm also one amongst the humans and developing, and I'm talking about a value which no human has been able to come to due to whatsoever reasons earlier. Yeah, I happen to be discovered this, and I'm making the values available. Hopefully you will contact me so we can have a discussion, and then so all of us have these values. They're fine, beautiful values which are better contemplated and thought about and live life by. So we have sustainable health, wealth, and wisdom. I will read further. This video is to entice the viewer to consider making a payment and participating in discussions of feature or paper presentation with me in a school-like setting of hitherto unthought, ecologically sustainable old formats. In online and offline, okay, let's just say, I'm considering a school-like setting of hitherto unthought formats, or ecologically sustainable old formats, which means old formats which have sustained the test of time as relevant even today. So in that way, classics, which means there are things working and working with things that are more working, yeah, which have sustained the test of time as still being relevant and valuable. In online and offline formats, so I can pay my taxes to almighty.inc, by which all that there is government, yeah, can continue to do the good work in making the world a better place to live in, yeah. So I'm a citizen of Earth, I'm a citizen of economy, ecology, and this is my business proposition. This is what I do, and it's my job to make this available to people as movement of the great soul, just like money came at a point in time, agriculture came at a point in time, internet came at a point in time, computers came at a point in time. Now artificial intelligence, and it's making life better. And then there is something better that is possible. Yeah. So I'm like a movement from the great soul in having us all live healthy, wealthy, wise life. Yeah. Like we are talking about fairy tales, happily ever after. And what does it take for us to have happily ever after is, for example, space science. It's more complex than rocket science. Yeah. And so it takes a little, small little contemplation, small little 15-minute discussions, or small, it's a different method of yoga that I'm calling a Samudra Manthan, because it is not so easily, I'm talking about mythological, big, complex, tiny, tiny, tiny little things. It becomes possible for us to have normal, ordinary, harmonious living. Happily ever after, yeah, healthy, wealthy, wise. Yes, simple concepts. But since we are not used to thinking about these things, it takes a little getting used to that life can be good. Yeah? That is not, it's not always that we need to struggle and a lot of things. But we are so used to struggling and doing a lot of things that we don't know how to not struggle, how to not do, or do in such a way that we are being. Some simple, fine little things. So what I'm saying may not be making immediate sense because you may not have had a conversation with me. And there are fine little tiny, tiny, tiny simple things which together form a little complex. So it's kind of simply complex and complexly simple. Yeah. So we need to use our left brain and right brain in such a way that they are finely keeping it together, like the male and female dynasty. Equally important for us to have equity and equality. Yeah, like the 11. So train is going on both tracks, and we're not dancing with life with two left legs. Yeah, it takes a little bit of, we need the positive and the negative, and we shouldn't say the positive is too positive or negative is negative. Then we kind of have a lopsided relationship with life. Yeah? Okay, so I'm going to continue. So my business is about normal, ordinary, harmonious living. And so when you pay me, it helps me to pay my taxes to the government, to Almighty.Inc., to all that there is. So, we continue to do the good work of making all that there is better. After all, I need material for contemplation by which to Shrishti optimize. Because my job is about Shrishti optimization. While Andromeda and Milky Way are in different stages of merging, integration, yeah? So my job is about Shrishti optimization. So nobody has to die, yeah? For which, लाठी ना टूटे, सांप न मरे, आवाज ना निकले, आहट भी ना हो. Sustainable health, wealth, and wisdom. It's more like 4. For which people need to be employed in their everyday activities of daily living. So I can watch videos and movies and songs and read literature by which I can course correct for Shrishti optimization. Yeah? So the wheel of fortune by wheel of dharma, by basics wheel. Now these are all my constructs of different versions, different parts, what I'm calling as the I Ching. Gets better. Or you can call it the Shri Yantra or Shri Chakra. Yeah? I have my version of it. Maybe it's better than how we know it. Maybe we'll think about what we don't know about in a new way. Yeah? So I have my construct about it. If you'd like to know more about it, let's schedule a session. Yeah. Figuring out one's ass. Now what ass that Google says is, 1 minute. Ass is, well, let's just say, oh, that's bad. So I can watch videos and movies and song and read literature by which I course correct for Shrishti optimization. So Wheel of Fortune by Wheel of Dharma by Basics Wheel gets better. Figuring out one's ASS, administrative statistical administrative statistical system, AS, our own administrative statistical system. Otherwise, what we have is we don't have a system by which to maintain normal, ordinary, harmonious living. Ordinary as in ordained, like we have come into existence for a reason, and when we are sticking to our path, why to be, what we are doing, and who's with us, and which is the direction we need to go, we could sometimes go round and round, yeah? And evolutionary concerns come, yeah? And sometimes we get stuck, and then we don't quite know which way to go, and then we sometimes call out to God, yeah, as a savior. So, when we have our administrative statistical system, or a system by which you're functioning your method, and while there are many teachers and schools and many things they're talking about, such as what I'm talking about, and you don't quite know which sustains, which doesn't sustain, how do you arrive at your own system such that you're following your system? And while there are many inputs from many sources, many schools, many teachings, many concepts, we could get lost in a lot of information. Yeah? So I help arrive at discern our own ass from a hole in the ground. There are many kinds of, oh, this is wholesome, this is this. But how do you discern your own truth? Yeah? How to have the critical thinking that is necessary to discern which is fake, which is not, which is beneficial for you. I mean, it could be beneficial for a lot of people, but is it beneficial for you? And how do you maintain yourself, for which you would need to know where you end and another begin? Yeah? And then why are you here? Otherwise, somebody's famous, somebody's rich, somebody's wow. Yeah, everybody looks up at them. But are they looked up for a reason that is beneficial for you? So there are all kinds of icons. But is it something that is suitable for you, for your development? And is it sufficient? So otherwise you could kind of get stuck in a pedestal. Yeah, like this is it. When you maybe kind of gotten cookied. Yeah, and you don't know you're not being a cake, where you're kind of fixated in a way of being and not quite developing into something better that you had the potential for, but are kind of, this is it. Yeah. Now, so discerning your ass from a hole in the ground, yeah, helps have conversations by which Shrishti can be better optimized by collaborative humanity across boundaries that UN, United Nations, has provisions for or is in different stages of making available. Yeah. So that's about what I have to say right now. Further videos to follow. This is more like a message to millions. Those who are listening to this, hopefully have reason to contact me, because the best is yet to be. The best is in the making. You are in the making. And Meristem Intelligence is making me, me as the experiencer of life within all the I's, the identities. And we could get quite lost in all the I's. And you need to discern the me from the I, from the you. Otherwise, you don't know where me ends and another begins. Yeah? So I'm kind of covering the base of me. And within all of us is a me. And when we discern our me, it becomes easier for us to just discern our I's. Otherwise, you could have multiple personality disorders. Yeah? And how to keep our different personalities together in such a way that it's not about ADHD. ADHD could be, we have a lot of things to handle and we don't know the shape of a human body. WHO's list of diseases talking about different diseases. Consider that that's because we don't know the shape of a human body to begin with. Yeah, it's not just, just this. There are many facets to us. and shape of my body. So there's a song, Shape of My Body. There's a song about it. And we don't know the shape of my body. We have a body that's human, and it could be just a general body intelligence. But what I'm calling as meristem intelligence is the shape of my body. While everybody have their own body, it's a human body still, but I have my body. Otherwise, we have autism and many, many, many concerns, and our humanity's list of diseases and keeping the male and female dynasties. How does these two species, at least a male and female species, keep it together on one planet? Now we have a phenomenological event, yeah? Andromeda in different stages of merging with Milky Way. While we have Mother Nature, Mother Life, Mother Earth, Father has not been so much in the picture, or not quite figured out, yeah? We even say space, yeah, middle finger. In my way of thinking, this is like water, this is like earth, space, air, fire, and spirit. Yeah, you have 6, 6. So we've been showing the middle finger, yeah, and we haven't really figured out the linga, yeah. So people, we even have big images of the Shiva, but don't quite know what it takes to live in life in the multiverse. The science of it, mythology of it, me hasn't been contemplated as much as needed to be. So we have many identity concerns. Statistics talk about humans as a, like a whole number of numbers, out of which, one person, what doesn't matter. And we are looking at space, the final frontier. So space hasn't been discovered. The human being hasn't been discovered too, is what I'm saying. And we have male and female species having a little bit of a tiff in our everyday, normal, ordinary, harmonious living. It's basically a human concern. Humans evolved over many evolutions, cycles of life. And we may not have considered the condition of being human on planet Earth. So consider that life, like in the multiverse, has been in different forms of researching what it takes to keep it together, while there are complementary opposites, such that we are sustainably healthy, wealthy, wise, without Big Bang. It's a for-profit enterprise, this whole multiverse. And it's like a lab technician figuring out what does it take for this whole enterprise to be profitable, yeah? You have such an elaborate system, planets and stars and galaxies, many, many, many things. And what does it take to sustainably have it all be profitable? So consider that we are like in the headquarters, and we got to keep our headquarters together, yeah? Such that we are part of a for-profit, profitable, proactively profit for being healthy, wealthy, wise. And I'm talking about what it takes. I'm calling it as meristem intelligence with 4 brand values. And it's a way of living for having sustainable, healthy, wealthy, wise, happily ever after. So I said nobody dies, has diseases or economic challenges. That's been called as Sanatana Dharma. We may have been reading our textbooks, chanting, and even have Bible, Quran, Guru Granth Sahib, many, many textbooks, but haven't really put the dots together, put the dots and dashes together. Einstein provided many solutions for it. For example, the idea of Einstein's paradox, what's that? Stone paradox, or something. Yeah, so there are many such, he's left many clues, but we haven't really figured out what is this for. I have a few. It becomes easier for us to then dot the dashes, dash the dots. So all that there is makes sense, yeah? So do contact me, or we'll have more discussions. We definitely need to, because Andromeda and Milky Way is talking about we do need to get our noodles together, yeah, not entangled. Thank you so much for listening. This is more like a review, prologue, or a conversation starter, hopefully. Thank you so much for your kind contemplations. Where to follow. Good day. Looking forward to speaking with you. Good day.